Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Critical Podcast. And before we just get into anything, Merry Christmas. This is going to be our Christmas sort of episode. We don't. I was looking for a Christmas sweater and Christmas hats, but
Couldn't
we
find anything.
we don't have any Christmas attire. We have
Mm.
this Ninja Turtle stocking and an ornament right there and whatnot. But that's all we have to represent. But Merry Christmas to you guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. This episode, we're going to be reviewing Aquaman 2
Mhm.
and another movie we went.
Yes, the boy and the heron.
Yeah, the boy and the Heron.
Heron.
Yeah, it was an anime movie. I'm surprised I went and seen it because if you guys know, I'm not that big on anime at all. There's a bunch of new game stuff coming out. God of War Ragnarok DLC has come out. Help Wanted 2 obviously has
Right.
come out. And the Walking Dead Destinies game came out, which was a Walking Dead made game, which is interesting. We'll talk about that. And then a South Park special also came out. And, we
Mhm.
love South Park, and, we got to talk about the special. So what do you want to get into first?
Let's talk about it in chronological order then.
So,
The boy and the heron.
yeah, The Boy and the Heron we saw first. Do you know your rating out of
Yes,
10?
I know my rating.
3,
2,
2,
1,
1,
5
out of 10. Okay.
So yeah,
You go first. I want to hear your thoughts.
this film, I was very excited to see it because there are some anime films that I do enjoy. I'm not that big of a fan of it like you are, but I was very disappointed because this had super good ratings, and I just found
we
the
can't
story.
trust the reviews anymore. We
Yeah.
learned that.
I just found the story just weird. It was so confusing. It really doesn't explain anything.
If you
Things just
remember,
happen.
I had to ask you, like, there was. Sorry to interrupt, but this movie was just. I don't have much to say because it was just so. I have stuff to say about it, but it was just so forgettable. Like, I had that, like, one spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen a movie that's been out for a few weeks now. But they go to, like, an alternate dimension, and through, like, towards, like, the third act of the movie, I just, like, completely forgotten how they got there. But then
Yeah.
I asked you, and you reminded me. I'm glad you remember. But it was just like, if I'm forgetting little stuff like that, then just, like, that's not good. But continue what you were saying.
Yeah, I didn't think it was forgettable, but it was just so random. I thought the main character was good. I liked following him, but ultimately he didn't end up really doing much. And then I'm confused at where it ended because there really wasn't any stakes for him in the end. Nothing really happened to him. He just went on to live his regular life again. And it was just very confusing. One thing I really liked is the art. I thought
Animation.
the animation
very
was
good,
beautiful.
but
all
not
the
as good as
scenes.
Spider-Verse, not as good as Mutant Mayhem, not as good as
Well, it's a different
Elemental.
style, of course.
Yeah, obviously, but it was good.
Mhm.
And one thing I want to get out the way: the main reason we went to go see this movie is because people were getting we went and saw the dub version, of course, because we're English, and Robert Pattinson was cast, Christian Bale was cast, Dave Bautista, Florence Pugh, and a few other people.
A whole lot of
Robert
people, yeah.
Pattinson, Christian Bale. I might have already said them, but everybody, we knew almost everybody, and then we were excited to see because all the reviews were saying their vocal performances were wonderful and everything, and while they were good,
Yeah.
this movie is 80% no dialogue, and I'm not really that big of a fan. It's to show off the art. And it's because it's definitely a different style of movie, but it's like the same thing with Wall-E. Like, I don't like movies that really don't like have a
Yeah.
lot of dialogue. I'm just not into that.
I personally like movies that have less dialogue because I'm a strong believer in show don't tell. But yeah, for some movies it's more necessary. I think the impactfulness of a scene can really be amplified if they try to limit the dialogue and use more of a showing kind of storytelling. But there are movies that, of course, need it, and I think this one did need a little bit more dialogue, especially to explain what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I feel like there was just too much stuff going on. Like, at the start, it's like a decently straightforward story of this kid trying to find out, like, about, like, he's having
Yeah.
dreams of his mother and stuff, and he's trying to find out what's happening with his mother and whatnot. But then just, like, towards, like, the end of the movie, is it even really about that anymore? Like, it's just so different. And the art style is definitely... This movie was... The main negative is it was hard to stay awake in this movie. And we didn't see it too late, but we saw it decently late. But for example, we just saw Aquaman 2 and I was able to stay up through the
Yeah.
whole thing. Through this movie, it was like literally putting me to sleep.
Yeah,
Like
I saw you next to me. You were out.
but it was kind of like a soothing movie though, cuz like there was dialogue, but there wasn't too much, and then there was the beautiful art style and beautiful scenery. It would just like put me to sleep. It was soothing, but it just doesn't make for a great entertaining movie.
Yeah, but I personally didn't struggle to stay awake. I think it was mostly the time we went to watch
Maybe
it.
it's a little bit too late.
But yeah, the art style was beautiful. Some of these scenes, you know that one scene where he finds his mother and she's surrounded by all these little paper things and it starts to attack him. It looks great. It looks beautiful. But what the hell is going on? You know?
Yeah.
It just doesn't really explain this universe.
It does, but I mean, like, I think it's maybe it's just I don't want to fault it exactly. I mean, I will fault it for that, but like maybe we're just missing something.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe we're just missing something. Maybe we don't, because we don't typically normally watch movies like that at all. That was a very different movie from where we're used to, but like. It was interesting. It just wasn't for us, and it was almost like stuff happened, but just like at the end, I was just like that was it. It was just almost like kind of like nothing that you know. I like I said, it was hard to stay awake during this movie. It wasn't great.
Yeah. Have you ever watched Spirited Away?
No, but I know what it is, and I know it. Didn't the same people make that movie?
Yes.
And they made
I've
another
heard
one.
it is like a very well-rated
It's
movie.
one of the highest rated. It's like in the top 20 highest rated films.
Or animated, yeah.
Mhm.
And I thought this movie was going to be very similar to it. I've never seen it, but if this movie is very similar to it, it kind of makes me not really want to watch it. But I still want to because it is very highly rated, though.
Of course, we might check them out one day, but I don't want to spend too much time on this movie. If there's anything else you want to say,
No, there's nothing.
so I can't believe I almost forgot. But since it is Christmas time, and you've been helping out with the channel a lot, voicing, editing, etc., just in general being on this pod. So if you look behind that curtain, I did get you a Christmas present for Christmas.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, it's a big lump in the curtain, but yeah, there is a Christmas present.
I had my suspicions after the FNAF episode.
the FNAF poster surprise. Yes. But I had to make sure I had to hook you up for Christmas, of course.
Is this all I can open it right now?
All of it. Do smallest to biggest boxes.
I didn't think we were giving each other our Christmas presents this early. I'm sorry.
Well, I should have warned. I wanted to be a surprise, so it was my fault for not warning you.
Yeah.
So that's.
I'm sorry. I don't have anything for you right
It's
now.
okay. It's completely okay. It's completely my fault for not telling you. But I hope you enjoy.
I'm so excited. I love opening presents.
Good. My terrible rapping skills. Hopefully the tearing noises aren't too bad in the mic. There you go. It's the
best pop I own by far.
Yes, that is an awesome pop. President Loki. I don't know if you guys can see it. We obviously... Oh, yeah. We got to talk about Loki Season 2. And, of course, Hogwarts, Harry Potter, one of your favorite... Probably your favorite franchise.
Definitely
Gotta
my
get the
favorite
Harry Potter
franchise,
poster.
actually. I will say that. That is my favorite franchise. Not necessarily movies, but books.
Ooh, don't knock that over again.
Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. Present number 2. I wrapped these up in tape. I have no clue how to
You're very
wrap.
bad at wrapping.
I just wrapped it around and wrapped it in tape. One of your favorite MCU characters,
My
Rocket
second favorite
Raccoon.
character of all time.
Great Funko Pop.
What is
And
this?
then it's another one. What could it be?
Hunger Games?
It's Hunger Games DVD. So I mainly got it for that little
Symbol of the
pendant. That
Mockingjay.
little symbol that
Yeah.
comes in, because I know you would like that.
I love this.
And you also love the Hunger Games.
Books are great again. Movies are also great. Thanks.
Of course, of course. And then what's inside that?
Probably a
What's
Funko
inside?
Pop.
Probably.
My suspicions are correct.
Captain America from Endgame
My
with
first two
Mjolnir
favorite.
and the broken shield and everything. That's one of the coolest pops I could find.
No, this is amazing. Oh my god.
It's I think it's metallic too. But yeah, I love how it has Mjolnir and everything too. That is awesome. Of course, of course. And now there is one more, the final gift.
I'd say probably some sort of poster. a
Maybe. Oh
frame.
god, there's a bunch of tape. How are you
Oh.
gonna be able to open it? It's like a jigsaw
Okay, I'm
game.
strong enough.
If you don't do it in 30 seconds,
Will I
you might
damage the
die.
thing that's inside?
Probably not. Do you need a pen?
No,
I
I'm
don't
good.
think we have scissors.
I'm too
anywhere.
strong.
Oh, you got it. Tearing into it. So that is Infinity War poster signed by a bunch of the cast from Infinity War, framed and everything, dude. That is one of the coolest things I could find. That thing is awesome. I'm jealous that I gave it to you, but I'm happy that I'm giving it to you because it is your favorite MCU movie. You're speechless. Of course, you've been doing so much work on the channel. I had to make sure I got you something good for Christmas. And then another one of your
Oh my
favorite
God,
movies,
bro,
a
this
Truman
looks so
Show
good.
poster. Of course.
I love how this looks.
Dude, we all love the
Damn.
Truman Show. It's a great movie.
You've been too nice this Christmas. Oh my god.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Merry Christmas. And remember, it's not about the presents and stuff. It's about the time you spend with everybody and stuff. But it's nice to
Yeah.
help people. And you have been doing a ton for the channel. Couldn't do any of this without you at all. So I wanted to make sure you had a good Christmas. So do you want to get into Aquaman 2 next?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard now because I'm kind of speechless.
No, don't worry. It's all good. It's all love, man. It's all love.
Thanks. All right. Yeah,
You-
let's move on.
Aquaman 2 rating? Or should we start mellow and talk about Help Wanted 2? Because you are the FNAF guy.
I am the FNAF guy. Okay, well, I guess we'll start with Help Wanted 2.
No spoilers. Don't do it because I haven't finished it. If you guys watch the live streams on the main channel, I'm only like a little bit
Well-
way through. I'm like halfway through it.
You're gonna have to speak a lot for this one too because I haven't played it.
Yeah, I've played
I
it, but
sadly
you know
don't have a
everything.
VR, and I've been wanting to play the Help Wanted games for so long because they look super fun.
Mhm.
This game looks pretty fun. It doesn't look to me as fun as the first one, which I don't know if you. What do you think?
As of right now, I like the first one better because I think the format works better of having like each individual game in order and like you get to spend time with that game and that mission as opposed to this where there is but like there's just some missions where like you fix Freddy and you only do that one time and there's like a few other things where, like you do Foxy Pirate thing only one time, you do this Ballora thing other one time. And then after that, it'll just be like completely random different mini games. And so like, yeah, you get all these random missions like the Ballora one, and then you get these pizza mate, like you got to make food and stuff. And it's just all these random ones, and they don't follow really any. It has some missions from games, like you'll have a mission of you're in a location of security breach, or there's obviously actual sister location missions. But like, none of them are really it's all like kind of new stuff, and it's as opposed to Help Wanted, which the jump scares actually really got to me because it's VR and there was some really scary missions. This is more of just like a fun this game isn't scary at all. Help Wanted 2 is not scary at all. There's like they kind of it's like you at first it's a little bit scary because they're up close, but then just like they start talking and moving and stuff, and then just like you start like with like the shooting mini game, like there's this creepy Fredbear in the corner, and then he starts talking, and then it gets really goofy. But like it's not really scary at all. And then Help Wanted 1 I actually found pretty scary. I don't know if you remember there was the Dreadbear DLC that came out for it. That was really scary. But I think it's lacking in cohesiveness with the missions. And I don't really like how it's like much more of like a fun. It's trying something different though, obviously. I don't mind. I like it more than I dislike it. Definitely. Like I don't want to say I dislike the game or anything, but I like it. And it's not answering any lore questions at all.
So far for
you're
you.
the lore guy. Would like do you need to
Without
explain any lore to
spoiling
me?
anything,
Because I don't understand
without
anything.
spoiling anything, I did watch a lot of YouTubers play this. Through all the different endings. I think this just confuses a lot more again. From what I know, of course, I'm not too much of an expert with the lore and everything. So with one of the endings, you have to get it kind of rearranges what we originally thought about a certain event, two certain events, and when they took place. So that's going to be very hard to fit into the timelines now. And then everything else is just kind of confusing. It's very shocking what happens, and
really,
it's very cool, but it just leaves a lot of questions.
You think I'm gonna like the ending?
I think you're gonna be okay with the ending.
And another thing, the graphics are great, of course. Another major positive, the graphics are very good. It's easily one of the best VR games I've played graphic-wise, but it's like in FNAF 2, you got to keep track of the music box, and like you got to do different things for different everything, and you got to remember all that, and it's really tedious. This game is so tedious. Like there is too many different things you have to remember, too many different things you have to do, to the point where it's just like unfun and more of like a chore to play. It just gets, but like I like a challenge. Like I play all the Resident Evil games on hardcore mode, all the Batman games on hard mode, like the new Spider-Man game hard mode. Red Dead didn't have a hard mode, but God of War hard mode. Like I love playing shit on hard mode, but that help wanted to, it's on a different level with how much like with the flat, like everything is just too much. I don't want to spoil anything, of course. And the God of War DLC, Valhalla.
Right.
God of War Ragnarok, one of my favorite games of all time. It was probably my favorite game of 2022. It was really good. But I haven't played much of it because...
Oh, it came out. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, it's out. It got announced at the Game Awards out of nowhere. But it's just sort of like a... Kind of like... how do I put this? It's like a... Not really... I haven't gotten far into it, so I don't know if it has any like story stuff to it. But like, it's just kind of like a... You go do a mission, and if you die, you start back at the start. Like you go through a portal, you kill a bunch of people, you go to the next portal, you climb up the ladder, and if you die, you get set back all the way at the start. And they get hard, and I keep dying and getting reset all the way back to the first mission. So I'll play it and see if I can actually beat it, but I haven't gotten far into it. But it's pretty fun. You still haven't beaten the first God of War, but you really like what you have played of it. But
I haven't had much time for games, but I miss them so much. God of War was so good from what I've played.
Very. And last game I want to talk about, The Walking Dead Destinies. So The Walking Dead, one of my favorite shows of all time, and also The Walking Dead Telltale game, one of my favorite video games.
I've heard some negatives about this game.
Yeah, no, this new game is one of the poorest reviewed games on Steam. It barely even works. The graphics are terrible. There's no graphics settings. Like you can only change like the film grain or something, and you can't do anything. And it barely runs. I couldn't even get past the first mission because it would just crash. And I have a decent computer, and that game had terrible graphics. So not much to say about that one, but don't buy it because it doesn't work, I guess.
I've heard a lot of bad things about the company that made that game.
Really?
I've heard that all the games they made are just trash and just made to make money. And this was another one. I've heard that there was...
What was their other games?
I don't know, but that's just what I've heard about the company.
Okay.
I've also heard that in the game there's a bug where you can get like unlimited like skill points or whatever they're called in that game. I've seen some clips. It does not look good. The cutscenes, they aren't even cutscenes.
Yeah, no, they're barely
pictures.
cutscene. They're just pictures and stuff. It's bad. I don't even want to spend anyway because I'm such a big fan of that show, and I was so excited for like a decision-based kind of game.
It's such a good concept.
Yeah, a great concept with it was just terrible. I guess we'll talk about Loki and we'll talk about Loki season. We'll do a Loki season 2 review after because I keep blue balling you guys with this Aquaman 2 review. So we'll go ahead and get that out the way. But I want to talk about the Kang situation and Loki after this. So Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom review. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom ratings 3, 2, 1, 7 out of 10. 6 out of 10. So, how did you feel about the first Aquaman?
I thought the first Aquaman was slightly underrated. I think it was very good. The graphics were very good. I thought the story was completely fine.
I watched it for the first time this morning.
I think one of the main issues was the dialogue was kind of weird. I thought a lot of the writing choices writing in terms of dialogue writing.
Just kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Just doesn't make
There
too
were
much
some
sense.
scenes, especially that one scene at the start where he's talking to all the animals in the aquarium.
Yeah.
It was just kind of goofy
Yeah,
and
but
silly.
I get it though. You know, you gotta have
Mhm.
some charm, happiness. Because one thing I really like about that DC movie, like I like it way better than a bunch of the other DCE movies because it's bright, it's colorful, it has good CGI, and all the other DCEU movies like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman are gray, dark, muddy, really like sad tone. But Aquaman is a lighthearted, fun film. I don't think it's perfect or anything or outstanding or anything. But did you like the second one or first one better?
Oh, definitely the first one better. I give the
Interesting.
first one a 7.5 out of 10. Thought it
Mm.
was really great. The second one, I don't think it's bad. I want to say that at all. I don't think it's bad. It's good. It's
Glad
it's
to hear it.
average. It's average. It's definitely a fun movie. It's fine for the end of the DCU.
Yeah,
this DCEU.
This is the DCEU's last
Yeah.
movie after 10 years. They are finally ending, and
Mhm.
I think they went out with it. It's sad they went out with the Aquaman 2 movie, and there wasn't a post credit scene like
Yeah.
that finish it off or anything. It was just a joke, which was slightly funny.
Mhm.
But yeah, this was it was fine for DCEU send off. It's sad to see it go, but it honestly really was never going anywhere. So I'm glad James Gunn. I'm sure you're excited too. We're so excited for James Gunn's new
Mhm.
DC movies. But I gave Aquaman 1 a 7 out of 10. I gave this one a 7 out of 10. I think they're both on like equal footing. If I had to choose, I probably like the second one a little bit better, but we did just see it, so that might be from recency bias. But it was a very fun film. The CGI, I guess we found out where the budget of the Flash went
Yeah.
to this movie because this movie looks great.
Great.
It's very pretty. It looks
Both
very
the
good.
Aquaman movies look fantastic.
Yeah, way better. Way better. The Flash. That's where all the budget to the Flash. When we found it out, the Flash looks terrible. That's because this movie looks beautiful. They put all the money into the last one, and it was very fun. I really like this whole story was about Aquaman kind of breaking his brother out of prison, and then Black Manta, which I want to talk. Well, this is a spoiler-free review. I will talk about more Black Manta and spoilers. But Black Manta got a little fight scene in the first Aquaman,
Yeah.
and they follow up that plot line with this second one, and he kind of plays everything with the new double trident and everything.
Yeah. I gotta say something about him. But in both movies, I felt like he was underused. He was slightly underused.
Definitely. No, that's one of my issues with this movie. I'll go ahead and get into it without trying to spoil it. But in the first one, he's a pretty awesome villain because at the start, Aquaman doesn't kill his dad, but he does kind of like is the reason why his dad dies. And then like that's a really compelling and good reason,
Yeah.
like a good villain setup. And then he gets that one fight scene in the first Aquaman, and then they
He's
do
never
nothing with it. He
mentioned it.
comes back in the
Yeah.
post credit scene. And then he comes back in this movie, and they set him up to be like the big bad villain for
Exactly.
like the first
I
act,
thought
and
he
then
was gonna-
by the end he does almost nothing.
Exactly. I thought he was gonna be like the main villain, and he is, but he's being controlled.
Yeah, exactly. And then
he-
by the end, it's like this big skull guy, and then he ends up controlling
Exactly.
Aquaman's brother. So like by the end, Black Manta wasn't even the main villain, and then okay, I won't spoil anything yet. Continue.
Another big problem is I felt like the end battle just didn't feel like an end battle. It felt quick and with less
It was a little bit rushed for sure.
trade-offs, I guess, or I guess not trade-offs is the right word, but what I'm saying is it felt fast and it felt more like a mid-movie battle than it did an end battle. And I was shocked when I started to feel like, oh, this is the resolution to the movie. Oh, I thought we were like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
Which the movie did go by pretty fast, which I guess is a good thing.
I think it was
because
only about
enjoying
2
it.
hours long. I wanted to check the reviews for this movie, but we have our phones to review. But on Letterboxd, when I went to rate this on Letterboxd, it was pretty low at like a 2 point something, and that's expected for a DCU movie. But have you seen the Rotten Tomato scores or anything?
I haven't.
We definitely
saw the
we
Letterboxd
definitely
score.
need to check those out. But I want to address this before we get into anything else. If you're wondering if Amber Heard is in this movie, she is, but she doesn't really play a big part
No.
in it at all. She is not a major role. She's only in it for like a few scenes, and she like kind of helps Aquaman at one point. But she's only in it for like 3 minutes of the movie, not much screen time. Obviously glad since all that bull crap that happened.
Yeah,
But
probably
just
her last
for a lot
movie.
of you, I'm sure we're curious about what her role was in the movie. But yeah, this was a very visual pleasing movie. It was pretty fun, but like you said, that like it's no New York battle, it's no
Definitely
Endgame
not.
final battle. It's nothing like that. But it's like it was fine for what it's supposed to be. The main thing is this was a good Aquaman sequel.
Yeah.
The main thing I want to say, this was a good sequel to
It
the
was.
first Aquaman.
Yeah.
It tied into it, and it was about, you gave the first one like a 7, 7.5. This one is 6. It's a one point, a little bit of a difference, but it's essentially pretty decently close together. So they're about like on equal footing. And it was just a good, fun sequel, and it
Exactly.
was a fine send-off for the DCU. This is exactly what it needed to be, especially for an Aquaman movie. It
Yeah.
didn't need to be an Avengers-level movie or anything. It was just a fine, fun little Aquaman movie.
Yeah, and I think Aquaman. I think this movie is probably going to make a good amount of money because obviously a lot of people love the first Aquaman.
It was the highest-grossing DC movie of all time.
So I think this is what they needed to end off the franchise. Well, not necessarily end off the franchise, but just to be their last movie and for it to be something good and enjoyable.
Go see this movie.
Yeah,
I'd recommend
it's
you
pretty
go
good.
see this movie. I'm sure it's not going to do well in the box office. Flash and Blue Beetle did awful.
Oh yeah, maybe.
But I recommend you go see this movie because we obviously kind of enjoyed it. It didn't put me to sleep like The Boy and Heron. You think this is 1 point better than The Boy and Heron?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's a few points, but I think
maybe a
it's like,
6.5.
that's fair. But yeah, it's exactly what it needed to be. It was fun. You want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, there's not really much
So,
to talk about in a spoiler review.
Well, I wanted to get it more in depth with the story. So
Okay.
it was about. So the setup is Black Mana. Is he finds this trident that he like matches together, and this big kind of like Loki looking green effect happens, and
Yeah.
it controls him, and he ends up attacking Ella. Mara is her name. I forgot her name for a second. He ends up attacking Mara and everything. And there actually is a few really, I'm mad Black Mana was underutilized actually, because there is some really good scenes with him in this movie. But back to the story, it sets up with him attacking Mara, that's her name. I
Yeah.
don't want to forget it again. So Black Mana attacks Atlantis and starts this whole conflict because Jimmy Woo from the MCU, the one Asian guy with glasses who's that one agent FBI guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp, he's in this movie and he actually plays a major role.
Yeah.
This movie opens with, it's a James Wan movie, the guy who made the Saw movies, so he has to have a little bit of horror in there. This movie, it opens with Aquaman showing off his newborn child and everything, Arthur Jr., but it quickly gets into like this kind of, and did you like that little scary kind of opening it had with the monster coming out and getting the two little hikers, and it's like a little bit spooky. Like I didn't think it was amazing or anything, but I thought it was an interesting little opening.
Yeah.
Did you like the opening of the movie?
Yeah.
So Jimmy Woo plays a decently important role in this, and Black Mana forces him to team up with them to help him study the trident or whatever. And then Aquaman needs to go get his brother because he knows he might be the only person able to find him or whatever. And then he finds his brother, and they start off a little at the start, and then water ends up making him get his muscles back somehow. But I really liked Thor and his half-brother's relationship in this movie. I thought, not Thor, I really liked Aquaman and his brother's relationship in this movie. I thought his brother was decent. There was like no... I like this is, they say this for a lot of movies. The comedy didn't make us laugh, but it landed, it landed and it flowed well with the movie.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't too
wasn't
like
distractingly,
cringy or anything. But yeah, and there was a pretty funny post-credit scene with them too. But yeah, they had a really fun dynamic in this movie. I liked how they bounced off one another. Aquaman gets a new stealth suit to take on this new mission he needs to do. Because it's just for some fun action scenes, basically.
Yeah, and then he takes it off.
Suit.
He could have gotten a big advantage in the final battle by using it, but he doesn't.
But yeah, but towards the end, when Black Mana needs a drop of one of Aquaman's bloodlines, they need a blood drop from the Aquaman bloodline to get this curse. It's wacky, but trust me, it's entertaining. It probably sounds weird explaining it out loud, but it plays out better than I explained it. But there's this really cool scene where Aquaman goes for Aquaman's dad and the baby, and like it's all dark, and then like a thunder crashes, and you see Black Manta's eyes, and he's standing in the back, and like you're like, oh shit, he's going for the baby and the dad, and it was like scary, and it was like he was a pretty cool for Black Manta, like, and in the comics and stuff, he's like kind of stupid, and in the first movie, he is kind of like just what the heck is this guy? Ooh, voice crack. It's like, what the heck is this guy? And then they were setting him up to be a badass, really cool in this movie. And by the end, big spoiler, they kill him off. And basically, like, Arthur goes to grab him, and like that, their every heroic thing going to save the villain. And then he just jumps off for no reason. He's like, nah, I don't want to be saved. I just want to die.
That's it, because we know we're not going to get another movie.
Yeah, then that's the final DCEU movie. I was thinking, dang, I don't want to kill him off, but then 2 seconds later, I was like, oh, it's the last DCEU movie, so
it feels so unsatisfying. We don't get like a good ending from him. He's just dead. He's just decided, nah.
And then the movie ends.
Yeah. But I feel like he was so underutilized in this movie. He could have done so much more.
Very underutilized. But Aquaman was cool. We got some cool Aquaman action, which was all we needed.
I feel like this was kind of the Ant-Man and the Wasp
of the
it
was like
it was fun, but it had problems.
Yeah, it was a little. It was like a slightly above. It was like an above average movie, but nothing great. It had its flaws, but it was fun and it was worth the watch. So, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10. Yeah. Glad we could raise it. So that was our Aquaman 2 review. What should we get into now?
Loki season 2.
Loki season 2.
All right, let's rate both seasons of Loki, and then let's rate the entire show.
Okay.
Okay, so Loki season 1. 3.
Loki season 1 ratings. 3, 2, 1. 8 out of 10. Okay, we agree. Loki season 2 ratings. 3, 2, 1. 9 out of 10. Nice. So we completely agree on this. So Loki's. I'll let you go first again. We talked a little bit about Loki's season 1 episode, but it's like a real fun mystery kind of show. Like no actions, too much CGI going on or anything.
Not really a superhero show at all.
Yeah, it's just a lot of dialogue, but it's like really good though. Really good
super
dialogue.
Good.
But it's like this mystery of unfolding about what is the TVA, who are the timekeepers.
And I love mystery stuff.
Very good mystery stuff. And then it leaves you off on a pretty good cliffhanger. And then season 2, which we'll spend most time on because it's recent and we haven't talked about it yet, and we need to.
It takes all this material in season 1 and expands on it so much. It makes it so big and great.
So episode 1. So this is spoilers for Loki season 2. But Loki season 2, episode 1. It follows up the cliffhanger from the first episode where Loki goes to Mobius and Mobius ends up not remembering who he was. And I thought the follow-up to the cliffhanger was really lackluster, where it just ends up he was at a different point in time. But then the show keeps going. And then episode 1 is great. And then episode 2 is fine. I don't think it's the best, but it's good. And then episode 3 and 4, I wasn't the big fans of. I think episode 3 and 4 dragged a little bit. But episode 5 was very good.
Yeah.
And episode 6, which is the main one, the season finale.
So good.
I just want to do a Loki season 1 episode 6 rating. 3, 2, 1, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
That is the easiest 10 out of 10 I've probably ever given in my life. That show is not perfect, but that episode is an easy 10 out of 10. Even if you don't like the superhero movies, Marvel or anything, you need to like this show. This was spectacular, and I've seen some hate for it. I posted a poll about Loki season 2, and there was a lot of haters for it, surprisingly. But and mostly because people just thinking like it's just kind of like too out there, doesn't make too many sense, and obviously, and most complaints I've heard is they're still doing nothing with Kang, but we'll talk about that, of course. But it. Major spoiler, biggest spoiler of the show, but Loki's whole thing we find out Loki's reasoning for doing everything in the first season is because he doesn't want to be alone, and he just wants friends. And then it ends with him being alone on the throne. So
sad.
And it's easily my favorite character arc in the MCU. I like it more than Rocket's arc. I like it more than Captain America's arc, more than Iron Man's arc.
Oh yeah.
It's easily probably I might like Captain America. There's some really good arcs in the MCU, but Loki's up there. The writing for that character was just amazing.
I don't blame you for liking it more than all that. It's such a good arc. It's
easy. It was in our top 10 MCU projects. It's easily like top 7, top 5 now. Probably top 5.
Top 5.
I really, I definitely like the Winter Soldier more. It's on par with like I might like it better than No Way Home. I think I like it better than No Way Home. I'm not sure, but it's like on par with No Way Home and the first Guardians, and yeah, it was just spectacular.
Yeah.
I was blown away. Episode 3 and 4 obviously disappointed me, but it picks up amazingly by 5 and 6, and the stake after Endgame, you'd think the stakes couldn't get any like the higher. Like you'd think like, oh, everything else is just gonna be like normal, kind of like, you know, Spider-Man, Daredevil, like, you know, just regular hero level, like Hawkeye kind of like stuff where it's just little side stuff. This is like huge. I wouldn't say it like changes everything in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, but like like there is some crazy implications that like some crazy stuff could happen from this, because Loki apparently is now controlling all the timelines and stuff, and it's crazy and it's wonderful.
This series starts to like desensitize you to the immense power that the TVA holds and that Loki
It
now
shows you
holds.
the immense power that Loki has.
Yeah.
And I love throughout the first episode, you see like he knows a little bit of magic. Like he can change his clothes and stuff. And then by the end of season 1, you know, he's kind of like he's making weapons and making weapons and stuff. And then by season 2, he's shooting out green blast.
He's holding together the time.
Yeah, and by the final episode, Victor Timely, Mobius, and the TVA, or not necessarily Victor Timely, but the TVA created this suit that's like able to withstand this like temporal radiation or stuff, whatever, from the temporal loom.
Yeah.
And then like it kills Victor Timely.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the series, and then there's like a real kind of, I wouldn't say it's a joke, but there's this like real little bit I like where they spend centuries explaining something to Loki, like explaining how everything works and everything so he can actually go and fix it. And then this is like one of like, it's like walking into the sun. Imagine like Icarus flying into the sun is what kind of Loki did, and Loki survived it. Loki walks through like this, he's walking through space and time, basically like this temporal radiation thing coming from the time loom, and he just doesn't affect him. He burns his clothes off and creates new ones that's able to withstand it, and he gets like this big awesome Loki crown, dude. It's so awesome.
And he's like the god of time now. He's not the god of mischief, he's the god of time. And it's so impactful. That whole scene is so impactful. And
easily a top 5 MCU scene now.
Yeah, I think the build up to that, where he's spending centuries learning all this stuff, and it ends up really being for nothing because he could have walked out there in the first place. That just really shows how much he doesn't want to be alone, and he's still holding on to he just really wants it all to end well, and then he learns that in the end he's gonna have to sacrifice.
I would ask you, do you like the Loki we got by the end of Infinity War better, or this Loki better? But truly, by the end of season 2, it's like the same Loki that we've had before. Like he's gone through, he saw all the memories, of course, but like he goes through his character arc and like becomes good by well, he's kind of good the whole show, but he comes like the savior of everything by the end. And something I know, let's get into the Kang thing now. Jonathan Majors fired, the new big bad of the MCU. How did you feel about him in Quantumania?
I didn't like him at all.
Really?
In Quantumania.
That's like
mainly because I thought the
movie.
Mainly because I thought the movie was really boring. I didn't really care for him because I had no idea that he was going to return at all. Maybe if I knew that, then I would have paid a little more attention.
And how'd you feel about him in Loki season 1?
Oh, he was great.
Yeah, do you like his introduction and stuff as he remains and all? And then season 2, we get this Victor Timely variant of him, and by the end, I posted a poll. What should they do? What should the MC do? Should they recast Kang or bring in Doctor Doom? Most people voted bring in Doctor Doom, but like people are saying they shouldn't bring in Doctor Doom because they've already built up Kang so much. But by the end of Loki season 2, does he really do anything?
That's what I wanted to get into, because I was one of the people saying that before I finished Loki season 2.
Really?
Mostly because I didn't think Loki season 2 was going to be the end, and I thought they were just going to hype him up and it was going to lead into Kang Dynasty. But no, that was the end. And it wraps up his whole arc and everything. And they really don't need to bring him in again. So now I changed my mind, and I think they should just bring in a new character.
Yeah, like you obviously aren't. You read some comics, but I don't think you're too familiar with. You don't read Fantastic Four. That's Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
That's their villain and everything. And comics wise, Doctor Doom is easily my favorite. Like probably villain. Well, it's Joker, Venom. Well, in comics wise, Joker and Doctor Doom, and then Venom, and then like live action wise, Joker obviously, because we've only gotten a terrible Doctor Doom in live action.
Right.
Thank God you haven't watched the live action Fan Four Stick movie. It's like the recent Fantastic Four movie is terrible, but yeah, it was a terrific. It was like, honestly, if you didn't like this show, it honestly would have broke, because you obviously did not want to watch the MCU shows at all. I'm glad you watched this one. I'm glad you enjoyed it, because like I would have been like really disappointed if you didn't like it. You didn't like this, because I thought it was great. It was a perfect ending. Mobius just standing there watching like his real variant life play out for like, because like the whole time he's been avoiding it, and then he finally is just sitting there watching it by the last episode. It's so good. It's so good. I love Loki. Easily one of the best.
Main reason I didn't want to watch this show is because I had no idea what it was going to be like, and because it was Loki, I thought it was going to have to do with things going on
like
in
Thor and Asgard and whatnot.
all that. And
Nope.
I didn't really care too much about Asgard and all of that situations, so I didn't really care to watch the movie. But it was completely different.
So good.
I had no clue.
It was so good.
I'm so glad I watched it.
I love it.
And I'm completely down to watch WandaVision.
Yeah, no, you're
all the other
if
shows
you love
now.
mystery stuff like this, you're gonna love WandaVision. Obviously, I gave my opinion on most of the MCU shows, but I want you to try She-Hulk, because She-Hulk is like, besides, I think Loki's the best MCU show, and then it's probably She-Hulk. But She-Hulk is just exactly what I want from an MCU show. You know, it's funny. It has cool, like, you know, Better Call Saul balances the fun lawyer stuff and the cartel stuff. She-Hulk kind of balances the lawyer stuff and the superhero stuff really well. Just a little comparison there. And then What If, Moon Knight, Secret Invasion, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, all dog ass, but it's almost Christmas time, so you might need to check out Hawkeye. I don't mind Hawkeye.
It's a Christmas
Hawkeye's
show?
fun. Yeah, it's a Christmas show.
Interesting.
And then there's a Echo coming out in January, which had a great trailer. It's like the continuation to that, so that's good. So, South Park special.
Ooh, I
Should we get into
forgot.
that?
Yeah,
The
sure.
South Park. So South Park not suitable for children, not necessarily suitable for children. So if you're not 18 plus, I'm sorry, but this was a very interesting.
Funny
This was interesting. What can we say about this episode? We could talk about the kids subplot with the prime hydration.
Well, we don't
ripoff and
really have to
everything.
get into detail about it.
There's a Randy subplot that goes
Yeah.
on that's really funny.
It's really funny.
It's really funny. It's about OF, of course, but it's hilarious. And Randy does some.
It's
Go check it
illegal.
out.
It's not like it's illegal to say the name of the platform.
South Park not suitable for children ratings. 3, 2, 1, 9 out of 10. I'm so glad we agree on so much stuff, but I'm sure one day we'll disagree upon something truly.
For the
But
viewers. Hopefully for the viewers.
But this was just hilarious. I love how it ripped off the Prime stuff. The kids subplots are always great in South Park. It's like, I love it's so repetitive, but it's always so good and funny. They just drag on one joke the whole episode, but they somehow keep it funny the entire time, and it's so good. And that's what I love about
I love
South
how
Park.
it's making fun of the real world too. Like the Cred
It's
stuff
very
is
real.
obviously Prime. Oh my god, and all the influencer stuff. There's now that I'm growing older, of course, we were probably made fun of with this, like the same
Yeah,
stuff
no, like this
when we were kids.
like the way the kids act with the drinks and everything in the school is probably how like kids are acting now, or how
Yeah.
we would have acted as stuff like this came out. It's like how the fidget spinners fads was. Like everybody was walking around with halls. Nowadays
exactly,
it's
that's a good comparison.
Nowadays it's vapes and whatnot. Middle schoolers and elementary schools have now. Their thing is like vapes and smoking
middle,
now.
That's middle school and up.
But, yeah,
But
it's-
elementary, it's always been just ridiculous stuff.
Did you like the what was the last special? That was the Pandaverse.
the
Did you like
Pandaverse.
this or the Pandaverse better?
this one definitely.
Yeah,
much
I
better.
like this one a lot better. I thought it was a lot funnier. But great special. Go check it out. South Park always coming out fine. I'm curious to see when the next season's coming out.
Well, is that it?
Is there anything else we need to bring up? We went over everything, I believe.
See the time. It's reaching like 50 minutes or so.
Yeah, we're about going for an hour.
Yep.
About going for an hour. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
I wish we could get more Christmassy, but this is as Christmassy as you're gonna get. Our present to you is this podcast episode, and
We've got a big one coming too.
oh yeah,
if you watched the last podcast episode or the last one before that, you've heard us talking about how we've had issues with it, but it's gonna come out soon.
we got we ranked every movie of the MCU, so that's probably we're gonna release this episode first, and the MCU ranking episode is probably gonna come out after that. So stay tuned for that one. And then, actually, no, before the MCU episode, we're probably going to have to do an end-of-the-year ranking 2023 cinema list.
Probably.
We'll rank every 20 movie that came out in 2023 ranked. We have a list for it and everything. So we'll do that. Now we just had Aquaman 2 added on the list. We have a few more to watch. I want you to watch the Super Mario movie to see your opinion on that. We still need to watch Past Lives. And there was like a few more. But, yeah. I had fun this episode. I'm glad we mostly agreed on Aquaman 2. I love that you love Loki. You definitely need to check out Help Wanted 2 because you are the FNAF guy. You need to solve the lore. And I'm glad we thought the boy in that. I might need to lower down the boy in there. It's like a 4.5 to a 4 out of 10.
Maybe.
But I like the animation in it a lot.
Yeah,
like
that's why I have it up. That probably saved it by like 2 points.
And that's why most people like live action movies better, but animated stuff just has so much more opportunities. It has so much different things it could do. It could just do
yeah. Speaking of that, just a quick mention: the Harry Potter reboot that's going to come out for HBO Max or whatever.
Is it like what is it going to be? Explain to me.
I have no idea. Like, there's very little information.
What do you want it to be?
I honestly would really enjoy it to be animated. Because, like you said, there's a lot you can do with animation that you can't do with.
That's a great take. That is a great take.
And I think no one's ever going to really be happy with new castings because obviously Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, they've kind of
way older.
They've kind of became their characters in the movies.
Do you have any fan castings?
Fan casting? No, I have none. But yeah, I think an animated one would be great, and they really need to stay more true to the books.
Yeah, do you think they're going to go full book accurate, or do you think they're going to try to just do the movies animated, or do you think they're going to mix a bit of both? Do you think they're going to try something completely new?
I think they should do a lot of new things, but I think mainly they should stick to the books.
And after the MCU ranking episode, we'll get out a DCEU and Star Wars ranking episode, but we'll probably have a Harry Potter movie ranking episode because
maybe.
I won't spoil how I feel about the first two movies, so you guys can wait for the ranking episode, but we're catching up on the Harry Potter movies, and I gotta say they're interesting. I watched the first two, but yeah, this was a great episode. I like, of course, like couldn't be doing any of this without you. I appreciate all the work.
Probably one of my favorite episodes, honestly.
Yeah, no, this was great. We had a bunch of stuff to talk about. We agreed on a nice, happy, Merry Christmas episode. So, and you guys have some interesting episodes to look to in the next following weeks. So check out our letterboxes, TikToks, Spotify's, all that in the description below. Our main channel, of course. Got a MCU video planned for that one too by the end of this year, hopefully. And I'm Jayden. This is Ryan. We've been your host here at the Critical Podcast. We wish you happy holidays,
Christmas,
a very, very Merry Christmas,
and a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year. And get ready for our 2023 ranking episodes. Get ready for everything.
MCU
it's all
ranking.
coming.
Yep.
It's all coming. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Goodbye.